our next inductee, we have an outstanding comedian, actor, self-proclaimed nerdist, and the Emmy-winning host of At Midnight, which I wish was still on. It used to follow my show, The Nightly Show. Please welcome my good friend, my buddy, Chris Hardwick, everybody.
Thank you, Larry. Your blood work looks great. I'm very... Looks like blood platelets. And it smells like a fancy carpet store in here, which is thrilling. I'm very excited to present this award. Joan Rivers was my friend, and Joan, I really miss her. I genuinely miss her. And I wish she were here. If Joan were here, I think the first thing that she would point out that this is a television award show that is not actually televised anywhere. Then she would unleash a torrential downpour of comedy in which she most definitely would have dropped the F word, the S word, the A word, probably a T word, couple C words in there. And then and anyone else, if they did that, you would be horribly offended. But from Joan, you would not only be charmed, you would be gasping for air. You'd be laughing so hard. Joan could work clean. Joan could work dirty. She had an even deeper level of sub-filth spewing that I would call Scarface getting a Brazilian. And that was really part of her genius. You know, Joan's genius was being able to adapt to any situation or any show, whether it was Carson or E or Ed Sullivan, who was clearly made of wood, and she could adapt and be just as funny on any platform. And the other part of her genius was being able to innovate. She never stopped. Even up to her death at 81, she never stopped being curious. She never lost her hunger for reaching audiences in new ways. I met her, I'll tell you, the first time I'll tell you in a second, but the second time I met Joan, she did my podcast in 2012. When she came in, she had no idea what that was. What's a podcast? What am I doing? Does this go anywhere? And by the end, she was asking questions about it. And by the time she left, we were friends, which I can prove because we took a prom picture together, which they said they would put up. And there it is. There's our prom picture. We'd meet, she'd call, she'd ask about various forms of new media, any way to put her indelible mark on the world. I got a call one time. This is a 100% true story. The phone rings. I answer. Hi, Chris, it's Joan. Wait, hold on. What? I don't know. I'll ask him. Melissa, I'm on the fucking phone. Okay, Chris, what's a YouTube and where do I stick it in? That was a legitimate conversation we had. How do I work the internet? But she really listened, right? She really paid attention. She really wanted to know. And that is what I discovered was the secret to staying young mentally. It's always being willing to grow. Joan was a workhorse. She never stopped working. Most people knew this, but she flew back and forth every week from New York to do Fashion Police. Every week she flew back and then flew back to New York when the show was done. And then the last piece of Joan Rivers that no one should ever, ever, ever forget was her heart. The first time I met Joan, I was a wee child back in the 1900s, and this was in the 70s. Johnny Carson would occasionally perform in Las Vegas. My parents, who knew I was a comedy nerd from the earliest age, took me while we happened to be there. Joan destroyed. She actually did better than Johnny, to be honest. And then afterwards, they spotted her in the casino, and they said hi. And she could not have been lovelier. Spent time with us, was asking questions, really sweet. And all those years later, when I met her again, that loveliness remained. And the fact that I ever had the opportunity to meet this goddess of comedy completely melts my brain. I mean, this woman was not only one of the funniest human beings to grace the earth with her presence, she also carved a path of brilliance through the industry that left a trail of progress in her wake. I adored her as a performer, a pioneer, and simply as a person. So it is my incredible honor to induct my friend Joan Rivers into the Television Academy Hall of Fame and to present this award to Melissa Rivers.
Okay, first off, this room is very intimidating. And second of all, what I said to Chris backstage is, my mother would be so proud that he married well. Good evening, and thank you, of course, to the Television Academy for this extraordinary honor you are bestowing on my mother. When I was told my mother was being inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame, I was absolutely thrilled beyond belief. But I was unsure as to what I should do to accept this honor on her behalf. But it's nice because I really didn't have to think that hard. It didn't matter. What mattered was WWJD, not Jesus. What would Joan do? Well, I can tell you that the first thing she would do is come into the room, smile and wave, and say hello to everybody. Then she would take notes on what everyone was wearing and figure out how she could make fun of it without getting sued. Then, after the fashion assessment, she'd see who else was being inducted and try and figure out the actual hierarchy of the room. She'd see Shonda Rhimes and say, Shonda, I have a script for you. It is about a black Jewish lawyer. It's called How to Get Away with Shopping Retail. As for what would Joan say, I don't have to wonder. I know because she wrote it down ahead of time to be read posthumously. I'm serious. Everyone's like, whoa. She said to me, Melissa, they'll never give me an award while I'm alive, and I don't know why. And I told her it's because she had alienated half the town and insulted the other half. That was why. And my mother, seriously, she was like a Girl Scout. She was prepared. She had mints in her pockets, cash in her wallet, condoms in her purse. She was prepared, not rational. We know this. Anyway, she left a generic acceptance speech so she could semi-graciously accept an award from anyone, anytime, anywhere. So, dear Melissa, if you are reading this, I am dead. My last piece of advice to you is if you ever meet Oprah, run up to her, tell her you're an orphan, and hope she's in the mood to adopt. Okay, sorry. Wrong note. Okay, here goes. Okay, she wasn't a rational woman. Let's just go ahead with this pre-written generic acceptance speech. I would like to thank the Nobel Prize Committee, the National Hockey League, the Motion Picture Academy, and the great country of ours for this wonderful honor. I would like to thank my fellow nominees, Stephen Hawking, Wayne Gretzky, Meryl Streep, and my campaign manager. It was a hard-fought campaign, and the people spoke, and we won. Ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of being a physicist, goalie, actress, president. Being recognized by my peers is the only thing I've ever wanted, and now that dream has come true. I'd like to thank the people who really made this possible, of course, the voters, without whose support I never could have discovered the black hole, won the Stanley Cup, won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, or been standing here in front of you as the first woman president of the United States. God bless America. My mother once said to me, Melissa, you can tell what a person's like by the company they keep. Being inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame with people like Shonda Rhimes and Roy Christopher and John Wells and, holy shit, the original cast of SNL, I'm seriously gonna throw up all over myself in a minute, means my mother's keeping pretty good company. She would be proud, she would be honored and humbled. Ever since she was a child, my mother felt out of place and that she didn't belong and spent her life feeling like she was on the outside looking in until she got into television. And here, she found her place, her people, her actual home. From her early days on television on The Ed Sullivan Show and The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, right up to the end on Fashion Police, my mother loved being part of the television community. It made her whole, it completed her, and being inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame would have filled her heart with pride and brought a tear to an eye, assuming she had not had Botox the day before and her tear ducts were not totally frozen. In closing, my mother would not only look at this night as an honor and a tribute to her career, she would, of course, being a workhorse, look at it as an opportunity. These earrings I'm wearing, they come from the Joan Rivers jewelry collection. They go for $39.95. And if you order by 11 p.m., it comes with a matching B pin. It's item number J2755 on QVC. Operators are standing by. Thank you all so very much.